Hi, this is Rayni Peavy for StartMarriageRight.com. You know, marriage can be difficult enough to negotiate when both people are healthy, but what if there's a chronic illness thrown in the mix? What if you, your spouse, your significant other have a chronic illness? How do you deal and cope? It can be discouraging, frustrating, depressing, but I've found in my own experience there can also be a lot of hope and encouragement and joy when we partner with God and He helps us to be an overcomer. You know, personally, I've dealt with chronic fatigue for 12 years, and it's gotten a lot worse in the last 2.5 years that I've been married, which is a real bummer. It's frustrating for myself and for my husband because I have to have a really early bedtime right now. I often have to cancel plans. I don't know how I'm going to feel day to day. And sometimes for weeks on end, I'm really not feeling well, and it takes a long time for me to recover and be more useful. And yet, there is still a lot of joy in our marriage, and we have a lot of fun together. How is that even possible? Well, first of all, my husband is really compassionate and servant-hearted, so that helps. But I want to quickly share 7 tips for how to find joy and be encouraged rather than discouraged if you're in the midst of a chronic illness. Now, I know 7 sounds like a lot, but we're going to zip through these, and they're really helpful, so stick with me. First one is daily connect with God. Just this morning, I was feeling really discouraged and distraught, and so I opened up the Bible and I started reading, and I turned on worship music and I started singing and worshiping God, and I started praying, and my attitude totally transformed. I'm filled with such hope and joy and encouragement. I really encourage you to do that every day. Seek God on your own, with your spouse, with your kids. Bring your family into it. To me, that's the number one thing that is going to bring you encouragement and help you. The second thing is to be honest with your spouse about how you're feeling. Let them know every day how you're feeling, even if you're not feeling well, but be careful to kind of temper it so that everything coming out of your mouth isn't negative. If it is, it can be overburdening for your spouse, and it can also help you slip into the victim mentality, which is never helpful. You're not defined by your illness, so focusing on the positive the majority of the time is what's really helpful, but I do encourage you each day to check in with your spouse and let them know how you're really feeling. The third thing is to make a decision to stick to a healthy protocol, whatever makes you and helps you to feel at your best even in the midst of this illness. Whether it's diet, exercise, having a certain bedtime, medication that you take. Sometimes it's easy to be rebellious and kind of not want to do those things, but you really have to make a decision and be intentional about doing those things to help you feel your best. And it's helpful if your spouse can join in with some of those, like special diet or exercise, to help you feel supported. Number 4, have a prayer support team made up of family or friends who can help you be encouraged by praying for you, offering spiritual support, but also practical support. And especially if your spouse is in more of a caretaker role, they need a respite sometimes. So I encourage you to have that team together who can come in and help. And give yourself grace. You can't do it all, your spouse can't do it all. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to need help. And for both of you, I encourage you to keep a gratitude journal. Daily write down and think about what you're thankful for, record every victory. Focusing on being thankful and grateful really helps lift our spirits and encourage us forward. Focusing on the negative just brings us down, and that's the opposite of what we need when we're dealing with a chronic illness. Number 6, this is a good one. Have key Bible verses, promises from God that are written down or memorized, that you can say out loud, that you can declare over your life, that encourage you. One of those for me that I go to when I'm feeling really tired and weak is Ephesians 3:14. I pray, God, would you strengthen me in my inner spirit with your power. God, you are full of limitless strength. That's what your word says. So would you give some of that strength to me? Every single time I pray that, God encourages me and strengthens me. And the last thing, as much as possible, keep a normal schedule. This will help you have that sense of normalcy even when your life feels a little bit out of whack. And especially if you have kids, try to keep it as scheduled and normal as possible, and remember to throw in some fun things as well. You know, if we fight from our own limited strength, we tire quickly. But if we tap into God's limitless strength, we can soar and be encouraged and keep on going. Remember that you and your spouse are a team, so look for even small ways to encourage each other and to serve one another. I hope that what I've shared has been helpful and encouraging, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments section about ways that you find joy even in the midst of chronic illness.